Eating healthy. The American Heart Association estimates that less than 1% of American adults eat ideal heart healthy meals, and almost no kids do. Wow. We saw earlier what Haley's doing for the health of her dad and other kids. We've all heard the rules about healthy eating. Eat more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins like low fat dairy, chicken, fish, beans, tofu, and eggs. We know we're supposed to stay away from too much sugar, salt, and fat, especially saturated fat and trans fat. All important advice, but how? Eating a healthy diet isn't simple or necessarily easy. It's much harder for some families, depending on where they live, the money in their family budget that they can spend on food, and how much time they have to think about healthy food, shop for it, and prepare it. As mentioned in $32 a day, it's hard for any family that lives in a food desert to find healthy, affordable options. If there isn't a store near you that sells fruits and vegetables that make sense for your family budget, consider teaming up with your family, friends, and neighbors to let your mayor, local council person, and other elected officials know how important you think it is to have a store that does just that. One resource that may be helpful in making the case, even though it's geared towards adults, is the Food Trust, found at thefoodtrust.org. Given how much time most of you spend in school, it's important that schools provide healthy lunch options and, in general, are healthy places for you to be. You can work with your principal, teachers, and friends to help evaluate how healthy your school environment is, though I bet you already have a good sense of the answer. By using tools from the Alliance for a Healthier Generation, a partnership between the Clinton Foundation and the American Heart Association, found at healthiergeneration.org. The Alliance has tips on everything from healthier vending machine options to healthier lunches and snacks. Lots of little changes can make a big difference in helping kids avoid becoming overweight and in losing extra weight. And that's true for adults too. What happens around a school can help kids and families be healthier too. Katie realized this one day when she was in third grade. She brought home a cabbage seedling from a gardening program at her school in South Carolina. Katie tended it and watched it grow to an astonishing 40 pounds. She knew that such a special cabbage needed a special home, and so she donated it to a local soup kitchen. When she realized that her cabbage would help contribute to providing people at the soup kitchen a healthy meal and possibly their only meal, Katie knew she couldn't give only one cabbage. She wanted to do more. She pledged to, as she said, end hunger one vegetable garden at a time. So she got her school to allot some land for a school garden and eventually started an organization called Katie's Crops, which helps kids all over the country grow healthy food to donate to people in need. Today, there are 81 gardens run by kids in 31 states. To support Katie's Crops or learn about starting your own garden, please visit katiescrops.com. Outside of school, even if your family can afford a variety of healthy foods, knowing what's in your food can be challenging given how confusing food labels sometimes can be. But food labels can also be helpful in comparing two foods to see which has more protein or more fat so you can choose the better option. And while you can never go wrong if you go straight to nature's source, fruits and veggies and other ingredients that come from a farm, that's not an option for many families who live on a tight budget or live far from farms, farmers markets, or other places where fresh food is sold. Thankfully, healthy fruits and vegetables come in many forms. They can be frozen, canned, or fresh, provided not too much salt or sugar has been added. Frozen vegetables in general are just as healthy as fresh vegetables and often cost a lot less. There are all sorts of tools and apps to help kids figure out how to build healthy, affordable meals like ChooseMyPlate.gov. Most doctors agree the key for almost all of us is balance in what we eat and how much we eat. You love Cheetos, like my husband Mark, and can't imagine giving them up? Don't. Just eat them once a week instead of daily. Your sweet tooth won't let up until you have had some chocolate? Okay, but choose a couple of Hershey's miniatures for a snack instead of a large chocolate shake. It's important to be aware of how much we eat. Sneakily, portion sizes for food and sodas have grown everywhere. In restaurants, in grocery stores, in vending machines, and even at home. Research has found that when people, including kids, are served larger portions, they tend to eat or drink more without even realizing it. Ideally, food is both fuel and fun, good to eat and good for you. You shouldn't feel ashamed about how you eat, and eating should never be a chore or something you dread. Admittedly, I learned this from my grandmother Dorothy, who was very careful to never eat more than 3 Girl Scout Thin Mints cookies in one day. We'll come back to Girl Scout cookies later in the book. While you may have heard of superfoods and certain foods have been proven to help reduce cancer risk or heart disease risk, most doctors say that it's more important to eat fruits, vegetables, and whole grains generally than any one specific food, and that candy, ice cream, chips, and cakes are fine once in a while. Since my mom was adamantly opposed to having junk food in the house, I learned early on that treats were reserved for special occasions like birthdays and holidays. I was allowed to have candy only when we went to the movies. Thankfully, we went to the movies a lot when I was little. On average, at least once every other week. So, there were plenty of opportunities for me to eat gummy bears and Sour Patch Kids. I have very happy memories of devouring unlimited ice cream whenever I went to either of my grandparents' homes. Dove bars were a go-to my grandmothers shared. I always justified it with the argument that going to grandma's was by definition a special occasion. All in all, I'm very grateful now that my parents instilled good eating habits in me, and that I actually love vegetables and only crave sweets, like dark chocolate or Dove bars, once in a while. For all the cookies I don't crave and the chocolate I sometimes crave, I love French fries and basically anything with salt. All the time, everyone needs to be wary of too much salt. It's hard to imagine that too much of something so small can be so dangerous. But too much sodium, a main component of salt, can lead to high blood pressure. Eating more salt is a main reason why high blood pressure is increasingly common in kids. There are certain foods that have been found to have high salt concentrations. Cold cuts, like what often goes on a sandwich, most prepared pizza, what you buy in the freezer section at the grocery store, Lots of fast food, like fried chicken, and prepared canned soup are just a few. You don't need to avoid these foods altogether, but rather be thoughtful about what's in what you're eating, even if you can't see it, like is often true with salt. On average, 8 to 18-year-olds eat more than twice as much salt as the American Heart Association suggests. Wow. Again, our bodies need sodium, but not too much of it, and definitely not twice what doctors recommend.